all will be rewarded when justice and equality succeed. All will be rewarded when justice and equality succeed.
This Kyrie is a 4-movement suite about the need for white people to understand what it means to have and experience white supremacy or white privilege within our daily lives.
One day over lunch, Stephen shared with me a story about the youth from Plymouth Congregational Church who took a trip down to the southeast. And the more he talked about it, the more interested I became in hearing about the experiences these young people had. Not long after that, Stephen told me about the opportunity to create something for a concert that would be titled Let Justice Roll Down.
The trip was born out of really what was going on at the time. Katie and I were first-year directors. We didn't really know what we were doing. But we did have the ability to look around and look at headlines and see that police brutality and the murdering of African American men was running rampant, and the outrage and uproar was not proportionally big enough. And so when we realized that that was coming from a place of just not understanding the issue in general, we knew that the mission trip had to be forged around racial relations in the United States.
How can we, as a congregation, as Plymouth Church, really commit to what it means to undo institutional racism, not just in our society, but also in our own congregation? And I think that this trip was a piece of that. Many of the older folks in our congregation were at the March on Washington, were a part of the civil rights movement, were alive during that time. And so I think to be able to have the youth of our congregation going in and seeing that history and then bringing it back, I think, is crucial.
To be anti-racist is not just for the benefit of folks of color, not just for the benefit of black people. It's not simply so that you can be found innocent or without guilt so that perhaps relationship will come. That doesn't work in interpersonal relationships, and it doesn't work in building community. Anti-racism and dismantling institutionalized racism truly is for oneself.
Be willing to feel vulnerable, because it is really rough. But again, that will be a choice that you have to make, and please remember that it's a choice, and you're choosing to tune into this stream of thought, and you're choosing to tap into consciousness on a greater level.
Ultimately, a case can be made to say that there is an anxiety in this world, and especially in American society, because we're longing for each other. But because there's sort of an inertia of racism, we don't know how to get back to a place where we could be together.
And that's my hope, that people will hear the words of these movements. They will see the truth in it. They will recognize the role they play, and that eventually this will bring about real change in our world.